Hello, my friends. It's your friend Kevin on this Saturday, October the 1st, 2022, a brand new month. Got a bit of a treat for you today. This morning, I woke up much earlier than anticipated. It's been happening, and I'm noticing that that's a cycle as we approach the changing of our clocks here in the northern hemisphere, probably the southern hemisphere too. I sort of find myself doing that, changing, my body clock. But anyway, long months ago, I learned that when I'm wide awake, whether it's 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4, typically I get up about 3:30 or 4 in the morning. Instead of being in the frustration and the anxiety of not having enough sleep, I simply use that time to get clear and present to, okay, what can I do that's positive right now that will set me up for the day? And this morning was no exception. I really didn't concentrate on it being a brand new month until I sat here and almost said September. But I did find a morning mantra and a morning meditation that was very simple, very quick, very easy, and spoke to almost everything. So I'm going to read the text right now. It is on YouTube and it's just under morning meditation. I think she calls herself Boho Yoga. Anyway, the mantra goes like this. Today is a beautiful day of opportunity. I am exactly where I need to be. I open myself to the universe and trust in the unfolding of my life. And then this person who wrote it said, Amen. Today is a beautiful day of opportunity. I am exactly where I need to be. I open myself to the universe and trust in the unfolding of my life. Now, I like mantras. They remind me that I am exactly where I need to be. It is not possible to be two places physically at the same time, but it is possible to be multiple places spiritually, mentally, emotionally at the same time. There is this term they use a lot in spiritual language called omnipresent. That is being present in many places at many times. And I've come to learn, perhaps remember, that when we dream, whether that's deep sleep dreaming and traveling to different places with different people doing different things, or whether it's a slight light daydream where a visualization becomes almost like a deja vu situation or experience, that is tapping into the greater part of who all of us are. There's only a small part of us that are human. The rest of us, the larger part of us, is omnipresent, never ending, always on, always going. And I was reminded of that this week over here in the eastern part of the United States, probably the southeastern part. And you could go down into the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Cuba, some of the Dominican Republic, some of those smaller islands, and how decimated they were by a storm. And I was trying to make some sense of, well, this happens with frequency. And I myself experienced one 30 years ago, which I took as a sign to time to go. This is not where I need to be. Anytime that there is one of these ravishing storms, in some respects it is a cleansing. I remember when Hurricane Andrew barreled through South Florida, how afterwards there was a stillness, there was a peace, there was a cleansing, there was an ease. Everybody was sort of like on an equal playing field. The majority of human beings throughout the world, as they did after 9/11, came together in a sense of peace, in a sense of love, in a sense of comradeship, helping one another, consoling those who had lost loved ones, consoling those who had lost possessions. And I see that a lot. The days and hours that follow a disaster invokes the light and humanness, the hardwired emotions of compassion in everybody. And just this week, I was reminded that, wow, here comes another storm to basically tidy up our physical spaces and places. Unfortunately, there is, in that tidying up, a discardation of people's belongings and possessions and houses and cars and material things, which at some point creates something new, a new opportunity. And this is why today's card that I actually pulled last Sunday and got it for today is so incredibly poignant. And I've got goosebumps. So I know the angels and the guides and the ascended masters are here. I just cannot make any of this up. It's a bit like, why have I ever been struggling that there is a power greater than me, that's part of me, that's in charge of what's going on at work all the time? So let's get right to the card and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So we're using the fairy tarot cards, and I'm learning that it doesn't really matter what deck of cards we use. And the card I pulled, this is by Radley Valentine with images by Howard David Johnson. The card I pulled today is the release card, number 13. Somewhere here in my notes, I have what number 13 is typically in traditional tarot. Let me look that up really quickly. It's a Major Arcana card. Well, basically, the number 13 in traditional tarot is a death card. I actually like the fact that Radley changed it and said it was release, because a death is a releasing of a physical body. If you're dying and going to heaven or in spirit, it's also the ending of something, the finishing of something, the finality of something. So the release card in this particular deck, underneath here, the little message underneath, basically says, let go of the past, an ending that makes way for new opportunities. And it's time to move on. And I'm going to read what it says in here, because it is just so perfect for what we are experiencing and what we have experienced. You can learn from your past and move forward, or you can be held back by it. This is true in every aspect of life, be it your relationships, your career, or your health. When an attachment to your personal history blocks you from progressing forward, it stops your joy. It's time to release the past and go forth boldly in an exciting new direction. Often, the changes coming into our lives are anticipated or even welcomed, although moving on can actually be challenging. The fairies want you to know that your future is bright and magical. So don't wait. Take your first steps towards happiness right now, today, this minute. On this card, you see a beautiful peacock, wings of the fairy, and the white roses that she keeps close at hand, both representing purity and immortality. And the additional meaning of this card is that moving forward brings freedom to make the changes, an ending that makes way for new opportunities, transformation, and reincarnation. I think anyone that's on, let me go back to this one, anyone that's on a spiritual path has to believe that we get renewed, we get to reincarnate. I've learned long years ago, my grandmother taught me No one ever questioned it. When we go, we leave, we go to heaven. As a little boy, I thought it was a place, a magical place, an incredible place. As I grew into adulthood, as I began to go on a spiritual journey and embrace the light of Jesus as being a teacher, being a mentor, as being someone to follow in the footsteps of, as so many of the scriptures in Christianity talk about. Now, let's not confuse it with the human fundamentalism of judgment and wrath and those mankind-made religious orders where, it's all about judgment and control. I'm talking about a spiritual pathway where our ascended masters, known as Ganesh, Krishna, Shiva, if you're Hindu, Kuan Yin, if you're from the Tao religion, even Melchizedek, which is one of my spirit guides, way, way back before Jesus. It was around the days of Solomon. These ascended masters, and you can include modern day masters if you want. You can include Dr. Martin Luther King, you can include Gandhi, you can include Mother Teresa, you can include some of the popes that are almost wanting to be canonized. Saints, all of these folks who had a role to play and played it throughout their life. Now we've just released the great Queen Elizabeth II, who ruled England and the Commonwealth for 70-something years. And I've got more goosebumps. These are the ascended masters who, through their lifetime, remembered the wisdom from the past, but moved that wisdom into the future. They were pioneers, often taking an awful lot of flack, an awful lot of criticism, an awful lot of judgment. And I guess the message I've got here, we all would love to release the judgment we have upon others. We all would love to do that. We don't come into this world as children, babies, little ones, with that judgment. It's not something that gets pre-programmed from before we come in. Because why would you choose it? Why would anybody put that upon a human being? Say, you're going to go down to earth and you're going to judge the living daylights out of people, point fingers and do all kinds of nastiness. It was other human beings in their own puddle of fear that really taught these judgments. What's right, what's wrong. I was telling somebody yesterday, if you're in Egypt, they have a language in Egypt. The Egyptians do. It may not be appropriate for, well, it could be, I don't know, but it might not be appropriate for someone to speak Japanese in Egypt. Indeed, in the United States, we're a nation that is built up of all kinds of different nationalities, skin colors, traditions. For the most part, it works. But for a lot of ways, there's still some work to do. The traditions of some religions, cultures, push up against the religions and the cultures of others. Does it make it right or wrong? Is it good or is it bad? I think it's got to get to the point where, as a human being, you just accept it as it is. And instead of using words like right and wrong, you might say it's a challenge. You might say it's not exactly effective. You might say, oof, I'm not sure that's really appropriate. Kindness says, we're going to figure out a way to get through this, get past this, and do this. Judgment says, well, you're not doing it. You're staying here. I'm going to control you. That's what judgment does. Judgment upon yourself is crime enough. But then it leads to judgment upon others because we haven't reconciled the judgment within ourselves. And so, life has a way of saying, this is what you've judged yourself as. So now I'm going to show you what you're judging yourself of in the examples of other people. You're going to see your own misgivings and your own judgments in the behaviors of other people. It's quite something. Anyway, I don't want to get on a philosophical chit chat today, but just to say that if you are someone who's in a place that knows someone who's going through something, listen, get them a cup of coffee, do something that helps them release some of that stuff, and work on today is a day of new opportunities, beautiful day of new opportunities, and everyone's exactly where they need to be. Encourage yourself and others to be open to the universe and the unfolding of life as it is. All right, my friends, have a great day. Please like, subscribe, pass this on, and give this to as many people as need to lift. I love you. See you tomorrow. Bye.